As we head on board, please just mind yourself. The back part of the submarine is hollow underneath. Just mind your step. We're going to go down to my aft or rear torpedo compartment. So y'all just follow me. So, far away inside the boat, we're going to use the same hatchways the crew would have used. It's a 12-foot ladder in and a 14-foot ladder up in the front. Please be very careful, just take your time, and I'll see y'all down below. I'll also mention, this is the smallest space we go through for the whole tour. Everything else past this whole more open than this is.
Good luck.
Down ladder.
Okay.
Over there. That's where we ate.
Yes.
The things we'll do for the kids.
And crew rest. Yes. There are 9 rooms on board the boat, and 4 of them have beds in it.
So this is where they would stay and sleep and live.
Yep.
Hey, you made it.
Okay, so one.
I was beginning to wonder there for a second.
Okay, so there's essentially 12, 13 bedrooms here.
14 and 15, sort of.
Oh my god. And one sink was what I was going to point out.
Is there a bath or toilet right there?
You don't get it out of the
It
door.
was.
He's going to tell us.
Well, don't worry. There's plenty to talk about the toilet outside the fact there's one in here.
We should see it.
Let's just say this. Pressure is the key.
Pressure.
Water pressure is the key.
Oh my gosh. Our RV toilet is very not.
Got your toe, sorry, dude.
Howdy, welcome aboard. Y'all made it through the hard part. So, starting things off, this room here is my aft or rear torpedo compartment. This is the back end of our boat. We're just going to go from back to front on a one-way trip, so please just don't leave anything behind. This room here houses 8 torpedoes out of the 24 that the boat would have carried. In the very back of the compartment, we have 4 torpedo tubes aft, 2 up on top, 2 more right down below next to the floor. That's where we, of course, launch them out of. Now, for storage, the 4 torpedo tubes are always loaded. So you have 4 in the tubes, 4 out. 1 shot, 1 reload. For my 4 out, I have these 2 torpedoes up top and their top 2 racks. Each one of these torpedoes is 21 feet long. Each one weighs around about 3,500 pounds apiece. I have these 2 on the top, and then I have 2 more kind of tucked down on the floor. You can kind of barely see them up here in the front. In the middle, they kind of look like railroad tracks tucked into the beds. There are beds in this section. There are 15 beds in this room, including this one up here above all of our heads. There are 75 of these beds scattered throughout the submarine in total for an average crew size of around about 90 men. In order to make sure you had a bed, you would hot rack, share a bed with somebody else, but you rotate it. Work and sleep at different times of the day. Other thing for crew, the bags hanging out for the beds as well. Those are what's known as a sea bag. World War II, that is one man's suitcase for the average 3-month-long war patrol. That is your clothing allotment, and there is no laundry on board this boat. Whatever happens to your clothing is whatever happens to it. These old diesel submarines were known as pig boats, so a nice amount of smells came out of them, especially at the end of a 3-month-long patrol in the Pacific. Now, speaking of smells, right here next to me I do have my first toilet, or head. Before I run my mouth about that, does anybody have any questions about anything up on top or anything down in this compartment?
So the torpedoes actually exist here when people are sleeping next to them.
Let's see, this one right here behind you, thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. Essentially, what you're sleeping next to is a Volkswagen with 500 pounds of TNT shoved inside of it. Or in the case of the green one, which is a 1960s vintage, it could be substituted for a low-yield nuclear warhead.
Oh my god.
It's a little different than a teddy bear, but yeah.
For my toilet, or head as it's called in the Navy, starting off, this is going to be the first one on board out of 4 in total for those 90 guys to share. When you get the chance to look inside the compartment, there is a green lever on the left-hand side of the toilet and 5 yellow knobs back behind it. That is your flushing mechanism. The toilet is a 13-step process to flush. You do your business, you pull the green lever, you turn the yellow knobs, pull the green lever, turn the yellow knobs, pull the green lever before it finally flushes all the way. The reason why she works like this is that there is always a pressure difference between inside and outside the submarine, especially once you go into water. So when you flush it, it fights water pressure going through the valves. It eventually leads to a 3-gallon tank on the outside of the submarine, and once that tank got full, you then flush that out to the ocean. If you mess up one of those 13 steps, or you're just unlucky, the pressure empties inside the submarine. The toilet explodes in a process called whooshing. It would shoot up from the toilet, hit the ceiling of the compartment, or if you were sitting on the toilet seat, it was not uncommon to launch about a foot up in the air with a fountain of water coming right up behind you. No matter what happened, if you did it, you cleaned it.
So it's a bidet.
Very chunky one, but yes. Very common thing to do is you tell a new guy one of the steps wrong. So first couple of times, tries to flush toilet, blows up on his by what he's doing. Or you just pre-sabotage it. So next poor man that gets in there after he does his business, turns around, pulls that green lever, and empties that 3-gallon tank into his face.
Oh, God.
As we go forward on out of here, mind your head coming through the bulkhead and also watch your feet in the lip right beforehand. This next room is the smallest in terms of space, known as maneuvering. This is the electric controls and propulsion controls for our submarine. We're just going to walk on through this next room, and then we're going to stop again right after that in one of my 2 engine rooms. Yeah, let's take your time, and I'll see y'all in there.
Does it have a door, or is it always open?
It would have a door. There's a little latch for it.
Okay.
Mostly just to catch back spray.
My gosh.
Okay.
Brian, you're gonna love this one.
Oh, wow.
I can see this over here.
Basically, this compartment here controls your battery buses.
I was in here a few months ago. Or in a space like it.
Oh, when you went on the croaker?
Yeah, Croaker's a lot like this.
Yeah.
If you want to have a seat here, I'm more than welcome to. If you want to stand, that is also fine.
The Croaker didn't have blue engines.
Do what?
The Croaker did not have blue engines.
Didn't have blue engines? Okay. This is cooler than a car.
So yes, this here is one of the 2 engine rooms for our submarine. This is aft, after, or rear engine compartment. I have aft engine here, then I have forward engines back here for the hatch right here behind me. Starting off, these big blue engines in here, what we are looking at right now is currently half the engine. There's another half mirrored down beneath us under the floor. So they're massive. Ours are designed and built by a company based in Chicago called Fairbanks Morse. Prior to World War II, the company specialized in making diesel locomotives among some other things. These are train engines modified to fit on board this boat. Because of that, with these engines rolling in this room, it is 140 degrees Fahrenheit in this compartment. It is also incredibly loud. You have 2 diesel locomotives running right next to you, so it's a little tiny steel can. Not helping that, the Navy not give these men hearing protection until the 1950s. World War II crews would take cotton balls, stuff cotton down the side of your ears, or you take a cigarette after you smoked it, you stuff the cigarette butt down the side of your ears. Anything to try to keep that noise out. Headphones passed out in the 50s and 60s. Still see them floating around. Commonly referred to as Mickey Mouse ears. Things are hollow on the inside. Put these things on wrong, you don't seal around correctly, it makes an echo, it makes it louder. So to fight that, you want you to take cotton balls, fill up the cup full of cotton, or you take a sock. Because of the heat in this room, take a small drill, make a hole in the bottom of the cup, so that when you sweat would drain out the bottom of the cup instead of filling it out with your own sweat. So these diesels don't move us. These are generators here to provide electricity for our boat. What actually makes the power is the white cylinder on the floor back there under the fire extinguisher. That is a turbine. These engines spin that turbine, creating power wired from here into the maneuvering room. They're the guys that pan all those levers, control where the electricity goes and how much goes there. What actually moves us are two electric motors under the floor of maneuvering. That's what hooks up my two props. That's what actually moves us to the ocean. The reason why she works like this, we go under, I can't run these diesel engines anymore. One of them would suck out the air for the crew in here in about an hour. So we go under, cut these off, and I coast off of battery power. We have 252 batteries on board in 2 rooms. Each battery looks and works similar to a car battery. They're lead acid. Each battery is about 4 foot tall. Each individual battery weighs a ton by itself. Your battery life underwater lasts for 5 days at a full charge. That's how long the lights stay on. That's how long you have to move. Your air would last for about 6 or 7 days, give or take. Depends on you guys have on board how many cigarettes they smoke. Usually these submarines would do a day-night cycle. You would spend daylight underwater hiding, and at night you would surface, use the cover darkness to recharge batteries, refresh air, and go back under once daylight hits. Before we head on out of here, my apologies for moving us through maneuvering like that. So I'll notice I can barely fit 2 people in that room. Y'all have any questions about maneuvering or these diesels or anything like that?
How is oxygen stored?
Like this.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's just when you close the hatches, close off everything, what you have trapped in here is it. We do have CO2 scrubbers, like paint cans about yay big. I forget the chemical compound is called. You would only pull those out in a dire emergency. But yeah. They did install a system in the 1950s known as a snorkel, like a snorkel used while swimming. It's 3 50-foot tall smokestacks that go up to the top while you're under. So you can go underwater 50 feet periscope depth. So you can run everything, vent your air, recharge batteries even while you're under. The longest amount of time this boat has stayed underwater continuously was a full 3-month-long deployment during Vietnam. They hated using the snorkel. If you had water come over the snorkel system, that has an automatic detection. It would detect water coming in, so it would clamp it off, so that way water wouldn't foul the engines. First off, the diesel exhaust would go out, floods into here, get a nice thick haze of it. You won't be able to see the doorways on either side. And then the pressure changed, because now the engines are sucking in air from the inside of the submarine instead of from the outside. You give about a half-second warning before your eardrums pop. Going on forward out of here, the next room is our forward engine compartment. The engine in there, engine number 1, is our operational engine. Because it runs and it's 78 years old, it does like the leak, just watch your hands and clothing around her. The next room after that is crew berthing. 35 beds in there, it's your main enlisted sleeping area, along with being half the battery banks. Then we're going to stop right after that in the cafeteria. So just follow me.
Video.
Well, yeah. But are you getting everything?
Yes.
You want to have a seat in here, you're more than welcome to.
Okay. I don't see a ladder to get down there.
Yeah,
Oh, it's right there.
side. Yep, left-hand side.
The door's blocking it.
Behind the door.
Barely see it. I always despise going down in there because it is not fun to try to climb down that ladder.
I can tell.
It's not a climb in, it's a swing in. Oh, you're
I
fine.
got distracted.
I'm in no rush whatsoever. I'll let you know.
Is that one of the pistons?
That is one of her pistons. The 75-pound lump of steel. Engines are 10-cylinder, 20 piston.
Okay.
So you have two pistons sharing the same cylinder proposed vertically. They fall down each other's firewall, so they bounce back off each other. When we get out of here, when you go into the back deck of the Hoga, before you enter into the door, we have two pistons, two cylinders.
Okay.
About 3 times the size of that one.
Oh, goodness.
So this room in here, this is my crew mess. This is your enlisted man's cafeteria. The officers, your people in charge, get the little fancy dining room called a ward room, about 2 compartments forward, that's like a teacher's lounge. However, back here behind this wall around this corner is the boat's only kitchen or galley. There's no difference what food was prepped for them, just where they ate at, and the officers get the fancy china plates. Everybody else gets the Pyrex plates that are behind you there, sir. The main thing that I like to talk about in here is the giant hole in the floor in the middle of the compartment. The grate there is something we've installed, so you look down inside of that. The hatchway to use to cover that up is about 1 foot thick of steel and it weighs 200 pounds. That's your fridge or chill box. There's a second door downside of the fridge going towards my right. Everything about the end of the table here to the wall down there is a freezer. So you have a climb-in fridge, walk-in deep freeze. You need all the space you can get. That is your only fridge and freezer for 90 men for around about 3 months. When you leave for a patrol, you pack it full. Floor to ceiling, wall to wall, you shove as much food down there as you could. Made meal planning very easy. Fair to an eat for, they just pop in the doorway, just look down. Reach in there, grab the first on the top, then the kitchen behind that you eat for that meal. It would actually take you about a month. You had to use the ladder to get down in there. Most of the time, just fold open the hatchway, lean as far as you want to, and grab that. But you have somebody holding open the hatchway for you. Submarine service in the United States Navy is a volunteer service. They never assign you to a submarine. You have to say, I want to try to be on board one of these things. To help get people on board, they give you hazard pay. It's about double pay what everybody else makes. And then you also get some of the best food in the fleet if they could manage it. Boat regularly had steak, lobster tail, shrimp, pulled pork, brisket. Refrigerator back here behind me used to be a soft serve ice cream maker. Kind of rare for a boat this size to have it. Then we have 2 ovens inside of a kitchen to make fresh bread every day and pastries. Cakes, cookies, pies, cinnamon rolls, whatever you want it to have. Now the food quality did tend to do a nosedive about midway through patrol. Easy way to tell them that was going to happen is that there would be an announcement over the loudspeaker or a sign hung on the milk dispenser saying that the cow has died. So past that point, everybody's favorite.
Brian, what's your favorite?
You have 4 meals prepped. You have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then midnight rations or mid-rats for the late night crew. An average meal, you move 60 men through here in 45 minutes. So 20 guys, 15 minutes, eat your food quick, get the heck out of my kitchen. Next 20 come on in and sort of rotate out. This room is also your main recreation area. Card games, gambling, poker is very popular for the guys on board. You could also smoke on board these boats to the early 2000s. You're already sucking down diesel exhaust. Might as well have a cigarette. Also for the recreation, here are your tables. So under the tablecloths, we have board games pre-built.
Oh, that's so cool.
So these up front here are backgammon boards. And you know, look underneath those are checkers and chess boards in the same little colors.
Look at that.
Yeah, just to save that small little bit of space.
Yeah.
This room is completely different on every submarine. The no 2 boats, the same crew mess. It was all dependent on the enlisted crew, what they wanted to buy, scavenge, liberate, steal, what have you. Best example of that, off of this boat, World War II crew during the 4th patrol managed to liberate a slot machine off a casino in Shanghai. And put in the corner back there about where that speaker is. So yeah, guys are nuts.
Does the crew get shuffled between duties, or how does that work?
It's a good question. So in terms of scheduling, you're usually working off of 8-hour rotations. So you have 8 hours on duty, 8 hours of recreation, kind of halfway on duty, and then 8 hours of rest. In terms of, you have your assigned job, but everybody on board the submarine is cross-trained to do everybody else's job. That's called going through qualifications or a qual process.
Okay.
Whenever somebody going into the submarine force completes that qualification process on their first boat, that is when they get their insignia, their dolphins. And the dolphins is one of the few insignias you can transfer between branches. So if you leave the Navy and go into the Air Force, you can even wear your dolphins on the Air Force.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, this boat, it'll take you usually about 6 months altogether to go through the training and then your qualifications. Modern nuclear submarines, depending on what you're doing, can take anywhere from 6 months to about 2 years.
Wow. So the qualifications, you just get assigned based on how you.
Yeah, you get your assigned station. Like I'm a radio man, or I'm a cook, but I also know everything.
Yeah.
All these dials, buttons, knobs, switches, levers, pipes, where they go to. Most of the people on board of a submarine are what are affectionately known to as an A-ganger. which are pipes, valves, vents, basically a mixture between plumber and HVAC technician.
I guess any one person needs to be able to take care of an issue. Yeah, that makes sense.
Especially since things go wrong board these submarines, they go wrong quickly and in a hurry, and very badly as well. As we go on forward out of here, the next compartment is going to be command and control station. This is the brain for the boat. There's a whole lot of stuff in here. Just be careful on the right-hand side as you come on in here. There are a lot of levers to grab a hold of clothing as you come walking on in here. Luckily, it's the part to get us up, so if you bump into one, don't worry about it.
Is that a hatch?
Oh, yeah, that's your main loading bay.
Okay.
So when we first stepped on board, that hatch was just right there.
Oh,
right
okay.
past that little chain. Yeah, we stepped on board the boat right above that first row of beds in there. Yeah, and the kitchen's fully electric. Alrighty. So, this room in here is my command and control station. This is the boat's brain. We are currently located about right here on the soda model. Right beneath that big old sail up on top I was talking in front of. This room is unique to our submarine. This is the only compartment on board that has 3 floors to it. There's always been a level beneath us, but now we have a floor up above us as well, up the ladder there, behind you. What is up there is the bottom of this structure here. This room is still on board the submarine. That sailor sort of went right over the top of it. But that room is the room you're probably most familiar with from movies and television. That's the boat's conning tower, or the con. The main thing up in that compartment are the boat's 2 periscopes. One of the scopes is torpedo targeting. It has a nice little cross like a scope, help aim the torpedoes. And the other one up there is a general use. It is a 20-foot tall pair of binoculars. Also up in the conning tower, we have a radar set up there. You have the fire control computers for the torpedo tubes. You launch all 10 tubes in the conning tower. The captain's easy man that pulls the trigger on that. Then we also have a red wheel up in the conning tower. It looks like this, but this picture is honestly pretty awful. So the main helm is the same size shape as those 2 guys over there, except it's up that ladder by its lonesome. That wheel up there, along with this silver backup, in case that room explodes, floods, catches fire, all 3 at the same time real quickly, control the back rudder, which is your left and right or port and starboard. Underneath us, next to y'all, there's a small machine shop to that hatchway there, so you can make some spare parts right out and about. Can't do a whole lot, but it's better than nothing. Then in front of you, the hatchway there leads down to what was known as sonar, or what is known as sonar. It's all still there. Sonar is that pinging noise you always hear in the movies. It works as echolocation what a bat or a dolphin uses. The sonar system technically still works. If we had enough power shunted to it in order to activate it, it would actually boil the water around our submarine right now. That's how much that shockwave hits you. And then for this level, the main station I talked about is the one with the 2 red wheels. That is part of the diving station. Those 2 red wheels control our wings. These 2 guys here along the side of the boat known as your dive planes. Once we go underwater, it's just like a wing in an aircraft. Puts you up and down here. Going down, coming back up, you do it bow first because it's reinforced. So on the inside, it kind of looks like a Michael Jackson sketch when we go underwater. Everybody's kind of leaning back to the boat. Also at that station, I do have my 2 main depth gauges. The larger 2 on the left and the right hand side is shallow water depth gauge going to 165 feet. That is what we're going to use most of the time. The primary depth gauge though in the middle goes down to 600 feet below. Yep, 600 foot is what is known as this boat's crush depth. That is the maximum safe diving depth. Slip past that, the water pressure around the submarine slowly starts to squeeze the boat like you're squeezing a can. And over time, it'll just crumple it. Doesn't happen immediately. It takes about a day or 2 to completely crush the submarine. And to be completely honest, the boat never really gets crushed. Usually the batteries explode long before you get to that point. This boat has gone past the crush at about 20 or so separate occasions. Deepest recorded dive was a training accident in the mid-50s, hitting 900 feet in this boat. You can't go past that. You find God pretty quickly. You want to get back up as quick as you can. On top of that, going off of the training, the 900-foot dive started out about like that. It's supposed to be to 300 feet. Unaccountable weight, 2 torpedoes in the bottom floor of the forward torpedo compartment. Turn the dive about like that. to dive about like that to 900
Oh.
feet. So
That,
again,
that took a while to recover, I'm guessing.
18 minutes.
Wow.
First thing you do is start a boat in reverse. Just start back and up. Then we have what's called ballast tanks on the outside of the submarine. They're water and air tanks you fill with water, or flood with water, or fill with air to get you up and down.
Yep.
You trim the forward tanks until it evens itself out. And then in this compartment here, there are 4 valves in this room. You hit them in a sequence, and it does what's called an emergency blow. It flushes everything out. Compressor gets blasted to all of your ballast tanks, pushes the water out, forces air in, we go back up. The trade-off is you have no control over this boat at that point in time. This 2,000-ton piece of wood, plastic, and steel shoots up to the surface like a cork. You get a half-second free fall when you breach before you slam back down again. And then you're not done because then you bob back and forth. So you slam down, go down to about 200 feet, so you finally even yourself out on the surface again. It's not fun, but it beats alternative, which is pump. This room has the most stuff inside of this compartment here. I can run my mouth in here for hours if I want to, but I'll be yelled at again. Is there anything in this room in here that catches any of your eyes I'd know a little bit more about? Anything I can answer? And that's a big ask. If not, I have one last little thing that I like to talk about, which is communications.
Quick question.
Yes, sir. Quick answer.
Was this sub ever attacked by enemy aircraft?
So, we have at least reports about 3 or 4 times in record. To be honest, a lot of times you came under air attack or observation so often that you don't really put it into logs or records. Mostly because you come into air attack, you get spotted, you get the bone in the one on a crash dive. That can take 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Everything up on top, nothing showing whatsoever.
Yeah.
I would say she came under attack about 4 or 5 times. We had no fatalities on board this boat. And throughout our whole life, we had no combat fatalities on board this boat. So if we're talking throughout the submarine, the main way of speaking back and forth is this guy right here, known as a 1MC or a microphone. This is an all-call general announcement, public announcement, just like at school. The second way of talking are these little intercom boxes. It's a microphone. Turn it where we're talking to, turn on the thing, and it just sort of goes in there. Oh boy. The last system on board in case the power cuts out are these phones here. These phones are not electric. This is a sound-powered telephone system. Works like 2 cans of the string. Runs up the vibrations from your voice when you talk. The control box for these phones is the gray one right above the plaque there for the little brown turn handle. The black dial on the left is what room I'm talking to. It's a one-way phone that's dialed back. Room's calling you. Use the first thing you pick up the phone is this is control and you dial back at it. The turn handle is your ringtone. Now the ringtone for this system gives it its name. It is commonly referred to as a growler. Let me squeeze past you. I'm going to ring this phone for y'all. Makes an odd little noise. Sounds like a dog or an adult in a Charlie Brown cartoon. It's something to get your attention. Going forward on out of here, our next compartment is going to be officers' country. These are the fancy beds for the people in charge. The only real difference is that these men do not have the hot rack. It is guaranteed 1 person, 1 bed for the officers. 2 little words of warning. The first room on the right-hand side hides our secretary, a gentleman known as a yeoman. We have an old CPR dummy in there just like a sailor. Please watch out for him so he can walk in on past. I had somebody throw a punch at him last year. Then when we get to our last compartment, forward torpedo, when you step through our last hatch, you're going to be on a box. There's a step down into that last room. Please mind your step coming in there. Just take your time. Y'all follow me, and I'll see you on the torpedo room. Captain's quarters.
Oh.
Only person by himself. Mind your step. You have a step on down.
Ever since I learned about the U.S.S tank, I've always been in love with subs.
Yep.
Did this sub ever have any torpedoes run circular like the tanks? That's good.
No, no circular runs. Honestly, out of the 18 kills we have, 12 of them were with deck guns. and only 6 were torpedo kills. Most of this boat's operations in World War II were consisting of lifeguard duty. Lifeguard or mining duties.
Yeah.
And then this year, we're just now getting all of our Vietnam documents declassified. So it's been fun to sort of tear through.
Yeah.
So for this compartment in here, this is my forward torpedo room. This is just like the back where we start at, it's about twice as large. 8 torpedoes back there, now I have 16 in here for 24 altogether. Back here behind me, I have 6 torpedo tubes, 4 up on top, and I have 2 more tucked down in the floor. So 6 loaded, 10 out for reloads. 4 up on my top line, 4 more down beneath those for 8. Then these square floor panels down the middle can be popped out, and there are 2 more beneath our feet. So 10 and 6. There are also 10 beds in this room as well, including the 2 back there above all of our heads. Known locally as the honeymoon suite. Where you worked at was where you slept, but whatever bed you had in a compartment was based off of seniority. So how long have you been on board the boat? Longest guy on board, regardless of rank, gets his first pick at the bed. Higher up you were, the better. There's no ladder. Gentlemen down in these bottom 4 bunks, their nickname is Step. This is the last compartment y'all have me in for the tour. Do y'all have any final questions for me about anything?
How do you get these torpedoes to here to load them in?
You do not. What you do is you move the entire rack.
Oh.
So you pull this over to the side, you yank this over into the middle line. There's no mechanical assistance. It is 12 to 15 guys.
Wow.
We have a winch system up here above my head, and there's 2 more back there next to the bed. Those were installed in the mid-60s. We're the only boat in the fleet that has them. It's a way to help them out. Move the torpedoes around in here. Navy logic. Winch system rated for 2,000 pounds. The torpedoes are 3,500. They used them once. We have a very colorful letter from the captain at the time to the Navy head going, "Why did y'all do this to my beautiful boat?" American crew wrapped them up and left them. Didn't touch them ever again. We think Turkey tried to use them for something, because now they just leak oil on us. But yeah, and cut me occasionally.
How do you load the torpedoes in here?
Right above the bed. So, the way it works is that while you're in port, and only while you're in port, a crane comes by with a torpedo on it. It drops it down to a wooden skid, much like the one we walked past to get down in here. Then those 12 to 16 guys put a nose cap on the front of those torpedoes, run ropes to that, and let Grab to do most of the work. The bed drops, the 2 braces get pulled away, and there's a skid that comes down to about halfway down to the room. You just sort of move this in the middle, get it lined up, and have it slide onto it, and you shove it to the side. It would take about a full day to reload all 24 torpedoes. Which we had an old binder that had photographs of us getting these in here. You can substitute the 16 guys for about 30 or so guys over the age of 60 in a crane. Are there any other questions for me about anything? Well, I will be the last man out, so if you have any questions you want to ask me individually, you're more than welcome to. This ladder here is going to be a way out. There are 2 ways to get up. You can go straight up the ladder to the very top, or there is a side hatch on the left-hand side of that ladder about 3/4 the way up it. Either way you go, get you up out of here, just go towards the light. If I go through the side hatch, I have to fold myself like a lawn chair to get through it. So I'd recommend for us older and taller just to go up straight. If you want to try to go through the side hatch, though, you're more than welcome to. It's all up to y'all. Y'all can head up first. I'll be the last man out. And once y'all are up on top, unless you have a question for me, y'all are free to go. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Brian, should I go out the side?
Whatever you want to do.
It's your adventure.
Yeah, and that is the escape hatch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a pressure chamber.
Oh, I guess that's kind of why the side hatch is there.
Yeah, because when you go under, you physically cannot open a hatchway upwards.
Yeah, because the water pressure.
Yeah, it has to slam sideways.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll see you at the top. Oh, you're going first?
I'm going first.
Okay. You'll see me.
That'd be really cool.
Be careful with your phone.
I will. There's the side hatch. You're almost there. It's high. Be careful. The water's pretty.
The what?
The water's pretty.
Yeah.
Look at that water. There's the ballast tank right there.
I made it.
Right there.
I
There's
made
the
it.
ballast tank.
Oh, what?
The ballast tank's right there.
Yeah. Okay. Move down a little bit so I can get up.
We should go to the Hoga now so I can just make one video.
Let's go.
My camera's all blurry. I don't know why.
You're not gonna post that, are you?
I'm just gonna show it to my friends.
Just show. Okay. Because if you're gonna post it anywhere, you've got to get his permission.
Okay. Watch your step.
You guys have your tickets? You get hold those up for me so I can
That's an old fire extinguisher.
It's a dirty fire extinguisher.
Slightly. Oh, here's the galley. Is that a wood burnt stove?
It looks like it.
Wow. Oh, this is all the... Yeah. Oh.
Arcane beast.
Mm-hmm.
Who died for Harvard.
You can see the boat out there. Through the portholes.
There's a web.
Oh, there is.
Don't know if they're any relation, but
Yeah.
it was on the Oklahoma.
Here's a mess. It's a lot smaller than Razorbacks, but this is a smaller boat.
Yeah.
It's a nice view out those portholes. Oh, there's a step.
Watch the both sides. There's your head.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to the bow. If we can. Oh, we can. The forecastle. Megaphone.
Do it.
Megaphone.
Oh, yeah. I want you to stand right there because I want to get a picture.
I'm making a video.
Well, I can still get a picture of you while you make a video. Just go right there and turn around for a second. You gotta pull your phone down a little bit. Thank you.
There's not a lot of protection out here.
No,
Bet you it's fun being shot at during Pearl Harbor.
yeah.
I wonder if anyone died on this boat during Pearl Harbor. We never read about that.
Yeah, hold on just a second, just about coming down.
That's green.
It's the executive officer statement.
Mm-hmm. Get on up there.
Oh, a turtle.
There's a turtle?
There's a turtle.
Where? Oh, a turtle.
He blends in with the rocks pretty well, but
Turtle. Oh, look at our shadow. That thing is huge. I guess those windows are for the, because on a conning tower, like on drum, you can, well, not for us, but when she was in service, you could go all the way up, and there was binoculars up there. I guess that might be what those windows are for.
Possibly.
Periscope's at full mast. That one thing sticking way up is the periscope.
Yeah. That's cool.
The funnel. This is probably a very powerful little boat.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, it pulled things like the size of the Alabama and bigger than it.
Right.
And it's a small one, but it's a huge one. And this is a fireboat too, I think.
Yeah, that's what that is. That's a fire hose.
Oh yeah, it is. I guess this is the valve for it. The cutoff valve.
Probably, yeah.
Here's the stern. The Arkansas River.
So y'all ate at that little pavilion thing?
Yeah.
Outside.
Yeah.
Cool.
I knew I could see that submarine from over there.
Yeah.
And it still looks small. I mean, it is a small boat compared to...
Compared to some
I mean, I
others,
guess
but yeah.
the Arkansas River is not a big river compared to like the Mississippi or whatnot.
Yeah.
So the boat
But
seems huge.
The other, like we saw the Croaker, it was beside a huge ship.
Yeah, it was beside the
too,
Little Rock.
So that made it.
I mean,
that one looked
even the
small.
Sullivans looked huge compared to it, and it was. These things are not big.
Yeah.
It just looks big right now because it's next to a small ship, and it's on a small river.
Yeah. Go through the last little bit over there that I didn't get to see. Okay, am I going down this way or the other way?
You should go down to Eckerd's. That's the smart thing to do. That's what I'm gonna do. Here's a compass. We're pointing west, apparently. I don't know if that's right.
I don't know if that's right either. Yeah, I think it's. I'm gonna be so sore tomorrow.
All right, here I go. Oh, there's a thing. Oh, I'm back on boat deck.
Do what?
Oh, an electrical barks. Barks? What? I know how to speak.
Oh, he's on the rock now.
Oh, yeah. There's a bit of a tree on the mooring line. The bollards. I wonder where the winches. I think this thing had winches.
Hey, but now you can say you've been to the Hoga.
Yeah.
And the
Maybe they just tied the boats that they was towing to this thing right here, and they just do the lines over the back, or this. Oh, it says Hoga on the stern. It says Hoga on the stern. Ow! There's a thing there. I'm gonna stay outside here, okay?
Do it?
I'm gonna stay outside.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm just gonna. This last little section was on the Hoga. That's why I wanted to see it.
Wow, that thing has a huge rudder. Oh, you can even see the propeller.